Welcome back to the podcast. We're doing something very new and special here today. We are featuring client case studies, examples of people who are just living, breathing examples of what happens inside Next Level Freedom. I am so excited to introduce you to one of my very, very favorite people in the world, Dr. Camilla Sulack. Hi, Camilla.
Hello, happy to be here.
So excited that you're here to share your amazing story. Introduce yourself to the group.
So my name is Dr. Camilla Sulack. I'm an emergency medicine physician and shortly going to start a new job.
Amazing.
Yep.
Emergency medicine. How, we'll start off with here. How did you find me?
So I think it may have been a Google search.
Oh, really? That's so
Yes.
interesting.
Yes, because I was looking for physician-specific coaching programs because
Ah,
I just thought like for the issues that I was coming with, I
yeah.
thought I had to really to do with the profession. And someone
Um,
suggested, oh, well, maybe there's coaching and maybe there's something in your field. And so that's how I think I discovered you first. But it's been so long now that I'm not 100% sure.
that's such a good point is yeah, I love how come to coaching and then use all the tools we have to find it, like Google or now ChatGPT, kind of like this is what I'm going through, this is where I want to be. We have so many resources to find places. So I'm so glad Google helped us connect.
Yes, me too.
And I mean, that brings us to the next question is, do you have an idea of when you joined? What year was it? Or how many years ago?
I think maybe like probably even 4 years ago, maybe. Yeah, 3 or 4 years, somewhere on that order.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so amazing. I remember when I first saw your name was at the Cure to Perfectionism and Procrastination, kind of like
Okay.
getting things done by the end of the year. It was
Yes.
when I first saw your name and I just was I was just so it just was such an instant connection. I was just so
Yes.
excited to see you in the chat and then to become a partner with you in the Lifetime program.
Thank
Okay,
you.
yeah. So tell us at the time, what had you Google search physician specific coaching programs?
Well, I just was kind of feeling like, why is it so hard? Like, why are these issues coming up? Was it specific to me? How should I be approaching them, particularly in the workplace? And I was pretty surprised to find the same issues
Mm,
echoed amongst so many members of the community.
yeah.
And that's what's become so valuable to me is that, yes, I was one person searching, but in large measure, it seems like you you're able to continue to exist in this world because it's not an echo chamber, but it's like we're
Yeah.
so lucky that everybody in the group is asking similar questions because then they just inherently apply to all of us.
Mm.
And then your wisdom to help us coach through what steps are we going to take to deal with these issues is fabulous.
I love that so much. I hear that a lot and myself too, my own story with coaching was I really want a physician specific space so I don't have to explain what it's like to be on call or
Good
what it's
point.
like to have the business manager chase me down about getting my compliance training in. And it was so nice I love this that when you're in a physician specific community, you also realize, oh, you're not alone and it's not you. It really is the
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
And we can fix it together through developing coaching strategies, for example, in coaching.
I will
So
say too
important.
that it helped me to realize in one case at least, like how toxic my work environment really was.
Mm,
And I didn't have perspective for that beforehand. And like the idea to share amongst colleagues what your
yeah.
income is for the same job, I think in a way it's very helpful to share kind of business practices or comfort or culture, maybe that's the best way to say it,
Mm,
cultural habits in a given place and amongst places that are in the same field because I don't think it has to be the way that it is in many places.
Mm,
And probably only through having these conversations and through those of us going through coaching and other similar strategies do we ultimately make it a better place to work in our workplaces.
such a good example. Do you have an example of anything come to mind when you think of the like shared examples that might have helped you get a sense of what what was your next steps from listening to other people, for example?
Let's see. Well, a lot of the things that I was struggling with were sort of day-to-day interactions, like with my colleagues or bosses or coworkers. And I had had many jobs before medicine. I came to medicine in my 30s. So I sort of already had a perspective that like going to work doesn't have to be this way. Like I'd never had issues with my bosses before medicine, let's say. And at that time when I came to, I was struggling with like how do I interact with my boss? What do I say?
Right.
Um and so I think it was certain things like she says blah,
Yeah.
and then how do I respond?
Right.
And so there are a
Okay.
lot of those she said blah, and how do I respond that
Good.
come through
Yeah, we
coaching.
do a lot of that. So a lot of typical coaching would be like, there's a school of thought that, oh, never tell a client what exactly to say. But what we always think is let's build a script together so you don't have to build it all by yourself and we can kind of role play it. We can figure out, right, how do we get what you want, no matter who's your boss or what's the situation. I think scripts can be so useful if they're customized to the person who's going to use them.
I agree. Yes, I definitely found that
Okay.
helpful because too, then I could workshop out a little bit of like what language feels uncomfortable to
Great.
me or what
Yeah.
feels better to me.
Mm. And what you're describing is a very advanced skill. Something that we teach inside the program is how trauma-informed coaching skills is leadership skills. And it's that really subtle thing between that can be as simple as word choice or who to ask what to. And when you have those skills as leadership skills, it can help you maneuver tricky conversations or can make conversations not tricky at all. So I love that. But I didn't, now I'm remembering. But I don't remember the exact story. What did you do before medicine?
Oh, what did I do?
Yeah.
Oh, I before medicine, I did a lot. Um, right before I finished college, I did archaeology for a few
Wow.
years and taught archaeology in the field. And then after college, I went into the National Park Service and served 11 seasons as a National Park Ranger and EMT and educator. And the
Oh my
Park
God.
Service at that time, and I think it's still true today, most of their employees are seasonal employees. So there's a lot of work in the summer and almost
Oh,
no opportunities for work in the winter. So I had this challenge of how do I make ends meet in the winter? What do I do for a job? And so that led me to a few different directions, one of which was teaching. So I taught elementary and middle school general science for about 7 years. Um, in a variety of places, Washington, D.C. and Phoenix, Arizona. Um, and then in the summer, I would commute to different parks and work there for the summertime. But it was through the National Park Service that I
wow.
ultimately met EMTs and then decided I should become an EMT. And then I served as an EMT, so I got to have patient encounters.
Yeah.
And those were the ones that finally led me to realize, oh, I now know why I
Yeah.
did the pre-med route. I want to learn how to definitively manage these really challenging cases that I was seeing in a very remote setting and having to, provide the initial care for.
Wow. Yeah. What an
Yeah,
amazing route to medicine. Okay,
it
so
was.
side note, what was your favorite national park?
So a lot of people ask me that, and my answer, I think, still holds. At the time I left, there were 407 national park sites. Now they're, I think, in the 430s or so.
Okay.
But I mean, here we have this giant country, and yet we only have 400 and let's
Yeah.
say 20 or 30
Oh,
odd national park sites. They really are unique for whatever they were established to
mhm.
preserve and protect. So I have to say that although it sounds a little bit less exciting, each park is so
Oh,
cool
cool.
for
Yeah.
whatever it is. And I just felt so privileged to be able to live and work in
Yeah.
them and to get to go sort of behind the scenes on my
Right.
time off to different areas that would be harder to get to. Do in some parks you can do cross country hiking and to come across trails in those settings that were, 100 years old, you knew that no one had been
Wow.
walking on that.
Wow.
There's no
Yeah.
map that has that trail on it. And you knew from the vegetation and how fast it does or doesn't grow in that environment, like, oh yeah, no, this was last really traveled at least 100 years ago or something
Wow.
like that.
Right.
So in
Ah,
your
so cool.
backyard, I spent 4 seasons at Rocky Mountain National Park, and it was
Wow.
so
Yeah.
special working up at Alpine Visitor Center in the tundra and seeing the weather as it changes so abruptly, meeting the many patients that get up there and realize that they
Wow.
can't handle the elevation at
Yeah.
12,000 feet of elevation where that visitor
Hmm.
center is located,
Yeah.
um, or run into trouble along the way and just
Yeah.
becoming a leader in that setting of managing many people who are
Mm.
in a limit of what humans
Yeah.
can really easily access,
Yeah.
at least in our country. I think it's one of the only roads up to the tundra and that high. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh my
really a lot of
gosh.
fun.
The view up there is spectacular. One of my
It,
favorites. Oh my gosh, I
it
love
is.
knowing. And we all have, this is so great about all of us. We all have this life before medicine.
Mhm.
And it's just so beautiful to honor that. And thank you for sharing that. Okay, so there's lots of physician programs. What had you choose Next Level Freedom?
What I really loved is that it's not just like one and done. It's not like
Mhm.
2 weeks or 2 months or a semester that's something that I can come to recurrently for a long period of time.
Yeah.
At least at that time it was like a lifetime membership. And
Yeah,
so,
it still is.
okay, great.
We had a year where we experimented not, and I just loved it so much. I love, yeah, because as soon as you put a deadline on it, there's this like pressure, I have to go, there's only so many calls. Whereas Lifetime, you really can come in and go as designed for that. Just come and
Yeah,
go
and I
as you
I
go.
really like it because as time kind of permits, or as you realize, like, wait a second, that's something I'm missing from my life,
Uh,
or these skills. For example, recently I was re-exposed to some skills about like how does that feel in your body, for example.
oh,
And I realized, oh, I had been using that skill quite frequently, and that has fallen off for me recently. I need to start that again because it
okay.
is such a good way to, I think, ground oneself and realize,
Mm.
am I doing the right thing?
Yeah,
And
so good.
so it's almost like a gut, on the order of
Yeah.
a gut check, I feel like.
Right. So for the listeners, this is a really beautiful tool. It's kind of when we're making a decision, we oftentimes go to our brain. Of course we do, because that's where we use our most of the time, especially when we're in the hospital. And also, we have this beautiful tool of our embodied experience. Like, what does it feel like in our body when we decide we're going to say yes to the shift or no, for example, if I want to move or if I want to stay, if we can check in with how it feels, that answer is always 100% correct. It's always available, and it just provides such grounding. And of course, like that piece is so important. And then in moving and execution, well, how do I tell my boss? How do I script? The coaching can be both to have that embodied experience and then to build a strategy to make that happen. Tell us, Camilla, what else about Lifetime? Anything else you want to share about why you like Lifetime benefits?
The other thing that's pretty neat is that some of the people will come and go that you recognize, or that,
Yeah.
for example, I did the training related to trauma-informed coaching, and it was wonderful to get to know those individuals so well. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'll see them there, and then sometimes it's new people
Yeah.
and a different scenario,
Yeah.
and I think that's always wonderful. Also, just the perspective or the approach that other people take, I often learn from that.
Right.
Um, I could be doing a little bit of a different strategy, probably more effectively as modeled by whomever's speaking
Um,
at the time.
Isn't that wonderful? Like you can
Yes.
come to a session, not even know you need something, and then you see that coach and you're like, oh, that was for me. That's so
Mhm.
good. So
Yeah,
good. In some ways, in that way, I do think group coaching can almost be better than private coaching because you have so many other people you can learn from, their stories, their experiences.
agreed.
I love
Yes,
that.
that is very frequently my experience. I
Mm,
will come for one coaching on a certain
yeah.
topic, and then someone else is there, and they may talk about something that piggybacks or
Yeah.
completely different. Um,
Right.
the other thing I will say that I've loved are the special teaching opportunities that you do. For example, like manifesting was a
Okay.
whole workshop, and
Yeah.
other strategies along the way, like for
Uh,
example, the three steps to whatever. And
hmm
I found those really helpful because like they just give me a guide to achieve a goal that I hadn't been achieving, or um, maybe empower me to work on something that I hadn't been, or that I had been and just needed to kind of have that extra help to make it happen.
So good. So, what Camilla is referring to, we do extra sessions that are often training or skill based outside of the group calls, outside of the curriculum. That's sort of the sense of when I feel like there's a need in the group for something, or I'm learning a skill and I want to share it with you all, I'll put some extra trainings together for. And they're manifesting. People love that. People have had babies and houses and dream and marriages and jobs. People have created so many things. And so that's one of the examples. This year coming up, I'm doing a lot of work on money, relationships with the money and wealth building and investing and making financial decisions. So we'll be seeing some courses related to that I'm very excited to share with you
Great.
all. Which is a nice part of lifetime is I, as a coach, am taking certifications in the background. I'm learning skills. So I'm a different coach than I was 6 years ago when we started. And so the room can evolve, has space to evolve with you as the client, with me as the coach. The group evolves with more people coming. I love when we have someone who starts as a trainee and we see them get through their boards and get their first job and then on and on and on and see the full arc. So fun. I think in lifetime you get to see the full arc of everyone's journey, which is just so fun. Thank you for sharing that. What you love. Anything else surprise you or that you really like love about the program that you wanted to share?
Well, I do think that this element of like as you learn things or as you feel comfortable to share these other elements of your own life or your own experience and do it through these workshops or what have you, it's really pretty neat because I'm just discovering like, oh, here's an avenue I wouldn't have considered.
Yeah.
It's sort of like for many years, but intensely during my first year of medical school, I had a friend that told me all the time, Camilla, you're stressed. You should go get acupuncture. And I said, like, oh, okay, thanks for telling me that. And she kept saying it and kept saying it and
Yeah.
kept saying it. And then I
Oh.
finally went and I was thinking, why didn't I go sooner? I mean, it was such a great strategy
Oh,
for me to
so
help me
good.
address my stress.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
it's like these things that I never knew about before,
Yeah.
that yeah, I should be trying that. And so you have the expertise to share it.
Oh, it's so good. And this is my favorite thing about women physicians. We have shared wisdom. Like we don't, when we find something we love, we don't hoard it. We're like, everybody try acupuncture, right?
Yes,
Everybody try
do.
coaching, try manifestation, which is just, it's just so beautiful. So the best part of working with women is there's just not that competitive hiding, hoarding thing. It's like, let's make everyone's life better all at once. So good.
Agreed.
Tell us about you as you look back on your journey. So you've been with us for 4 years-ish. You think about you joined at the beginning to get out of a job. You're going between jobs and you were learning how to communicate in high stakes works environment. And now you look back, what wins are you most proud of?
Um, I think learning how to choose the next job wisely. Um, Also kind of more listening to my gut, um, which is something I've had to
Mm,
really discreetly work on. That's not
yeah.
an inherent skill that I have. Um, And and then, in a newer workplace to say what's working, what isn't working, and
Mm,
how do we make it better? And then how do we also identify that like this is the system, this is this place and this culture, and no matter what we want it to be, it is a certain way. And kind
mm,
of looking at that
mhm,
reality and working within that reality. And I'll say that's happened in multiple positions that it's like trying to kind of continue to float and be oneself, despite the fact that in some cases or in certain situations that the environment in which we work in medicine is not necessarily as healthy as it could be. Hopefully we can
totally.
change that. But
Yeah, totally. I think what you said was so profound. I want to just spend a little time because there are people who are listening who will think, who don't know that it's possible to be yourself and make it better when the system is broken. Because I think that's something that we get told the system is broken and then it kind of like period, end of statement, and we just have to accept. Versus that's not our approach at all inside the program. Our program is like, okay, the system is broken and we're going to make it better and we're going to find a way for you to be yourself. So can you fill in the gaps for the listeners who may not have the coaching experience you do? How can you do that? How can you be yourself and make it better when the system is broken?
Great question. I think in some cases, practice.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
I think getting to feel comfortable with yourself and tune in. For
Mhm.
example,
Mhm.
what does feel good in your own body or what
Mhm.
feels tighter and more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
In other words, probably shouldn't go down that path. Or even to just recognize through those skills, for example,
Yeah.
oh, this isn't what I want to be doing, or this
Mhm.
isn't the approach that feels comfortable, even though that's the way I've dealt with it before. And then trying to maybe work through coaching on, okay, what are some other
Yeah.
strategies we could use? Um, and talking that through with you or hearing other people how they approach it. I think yeah, choosing one's words and also, yeah, just continuing to be realistic about what's in your control. Like at that point about you can't control other people. You can only
Yeah.
control yourself. And so, what are you going to do in that setting, regardless of whatever they're doing over
Right.
there? Of whatever response they have, they're welcome to
Yeah.
have that response. What is your approach and your response going to be? I remember,
Mm,
for example, there was a situation where I anticipated significant conflict with an individual at work, and our whole coaching was about, okay, so you go and you encounter this individual, and then and they say whatever things they're
right.
going to
Uh-huh.
say. What are some different strategies you could take to respond to it?
Yeah.
And we came up with quite a gamut, and they all felt really good.
Okay.
And in the end, I don't know how much any of it panned out. I don't think that the individual acted the way that I thought they would initially. So, but I felt much more calm and
Mm,
able to go into my workplace and encounter this
yeah.
person.
Well, that is so good because we never know how the other person's going to respond. So the focus in the program is always how do we help you feel calm and supported, knowing that no matter what, we have no idea what they're going to do, but we can make sure you feel good in your body. We can make sure you feel safe at work. We can make sure you feel supported and that you have a clear plan. Because the alternative, being anxious and afraid we're going to be fired at any moment, we're always going to get in trouble. Like that alternate, I'm drawing from my experience of what it was like in medicine when I told myself before coaching. It's like that reality is so exhausting. And then I have nothing left over for my kids when I get home if all day I'm worried about how I'm going to get fired.
Mm.
versus the
Yeah.
switch to the question that I ask probably the most for everyone. In our coaching sessions been so, I have so many rich memories about it is always like, and what do you want most out of everything? What do you want most? You make the decision, we check in, how does it feel? And then we build a strategy for it. We can always rely on you. We can always, when we bring it back to you, it just laser focuses the strategy and what you want. Amazing. Oh my gosh, that was so good. Let me just recap for everyone who's just listening. Here's the how you do it. This is this is this is your exact strategy. When the system is broken, how to be yourself and make it better. It's totally possible. This whole case study is an example of it. Practice, tune into your body, ask yourself what you need, what you want, explore options, develop strategies, have some scripts, get coached along the way. I think all of that is just so helpful when you have someone outside of your brain who can help us see, oh, here's some other things we can consider. Another way of saying it. Here's another option for it. Just so helpful. Amazing. Anything else you want to say about that?
I think that's the main,
So good.
yeah, thing that comes to mind.
Wow. Okay. So when you think about where you are now versus where you are 4 years ago. Anything else you want to, any landmarks you want to celebrate about what's different about Camilla 2026?
I do wish I could like go back and be me now in those places, that
Yeah.
where I didn't realize that it is to a much lesser extent me. It really was to a greater extent the place or whatever
Mm.
was going on there.
Here's how you do it.
Culture.
Here's how you do it, Camilla. And everyone listening, you tell yourself that it was never me. It was the culture. And that version of you who got coached and kind of developed, did all this work, that's how you became Camilla to 2026. You just kept showing up for yourself. So that's how we kind of blend in younger you who didn't know with current you who knows it was never you to begin with. How does
What
that
a hard
feel?
lesson. It feels good, but it's also kind of sad in a sense of like,
Yeah.
what a hard lesson to go through. And
Mm,
there are so many other people going through this, maybe
yeah.
silently because they figure
Yeah.
it's them.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the beauty in it is that you can see it's hard now and that there's this like the outcome is ultimately this beautiful thing. But there are a lot of, and I think that's where the coaching comes in is to see this distinction between it is hard and had nothing to do with you. Then we get to resource and then how do we make this a little easier? And then how do we make this job make sense for you and your family?
Mhm.
It's so impossible to do when we think we're the problem because it's just so painful. So that awareness, I mean, the start of a coaching journey is a hard thing. And here's my thought about it is like, if it wasn't hard, I would have never gone to coaching. And I'll say this about me.
Mm.
And I know how in pain I was at the beginning. I know where my relationship was with my children and my husband and myself. Thank goodness that hard thing happened so I could learn how to treat myself for the rest of my life and then give it to my
Mm.
children for the rest of their lives. Doesn't have to be hard because now I know how to take care of myself. What do you think?
I love that. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and I think too, as you said, we spend so much extra energy in when we're not in the right place, or
Mm.
pre-coaching, you could say.
Hmm.
Um, and then we don't have it for the things that we really want to be there for, like our family, our children, our other activities.
Yeah.
And I do know how drained I was by all of that.
Yeah.
Um, and so luckily with a job change, I ended up gaining some extra time. At first, I was able to kind of figure out how I would make my family, and now I have a 3.5-month-old. So that's partly due
Oh
to
my
coaching as
gosh.
well, because I
Oh my
wouldn't have been
gosh.
able to kind of pull that all together otherwise, I think.
Oh my gosh. And I just have to say, for everyone who's here, this baby is the most beautiful baby. Don't tell me. I'm just, it's so, she's been on a couple sessions and we just love her. We just love her. And I've seen, yes, we're friends on Facebook and I just couldn't be happier. It's so beautiful that I just think that the power of coaching to like when we're not tied to a job that's just really unhealthy for us, we free up so much energy to get what we really deserve to get to create and have time for. I mean, I don't think there could be any other better thing. So
Yeah, it's wonderful. I'm
congratulations.
very happy that I could like coach into making this personal life goal happen.
Yeah. And what's so great about Lifetime means we can coach you when she gets ready to drive, when she's not sleeping or whatever. We just get like we get support for all stages of that.
Yes, it's very interesting to see. Like she's already playing some games with us and acting a certain way to get a certain response. And I'm thinking, oh no, this is only 3.5 months. What's gonna happen when she's 16?
Oh my gosh, you're going to be so prepared for it because we have you for life and you'll just come in.
Yay.
And really, it's like yes, the program is for all the webinars generally are about career. But, as Camilla knows, and behind the scenes, we just support you in all the ways. So, parenting, all the things, conversations with your beloved future teen, so much easier now that you know how to have conversations with bosses. Like you have
Mm.
that skill of being able to communicate in an effective way. So good.
Yeah, thank goodness.
It's just a great skill to have in general, being able to
Oh,
like put these scripts together and you just get better and better and better at them.
yes, I agree.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay. Anything else come to mind as we're like celebrating your journey over the past 4 years that you want to just kind of put an underline? I'm really proud of this, or I want to just add that.
Um, I think too, in some regards, it gives me the courage to branch out into a job area or a style that I wouldn't have necessarily gravitated towards in the
Mm.
past. So I'm going to start a job with just a whole new skill set related to academic medicine that I really
Yeah.
hadn't focused on before. Um, and I think too, it sort of helped underscore that supporting oneself and supporting others is so important. And I see this modeled by other people. Like, for example, there's a female mentor in my field who I notice, oh, she chooses women to join her on activities like that are academically oriented,
Uh,
book chapter editing, writing papers, doing
right.
studies. And so she's very explicit about that. And
Uh,
it's and I think, oh wow, like I feel as though I can kind of see that better and support her mission
yeah.
and so there's like that's an echo or a ripple effect um that I wouldn't have guessed, and
Mhm.
I think I'm just more receptive towards it now that
Yeah.
I've had coaching.
Mm. That's so beautiful. The ripple effect. I think that is something that all women physicians can relate to. Is just I've heard my daughter refer to it as like the butterfly effect. I don't know
Hmm.
if I think it's the same thing. The idea of one person kind of shares their goodness with others, where it's book chapter or how to parent, and it just like has this extension in ways like could be for generations, right? Because as if we share that gift with our children share. I mean, it's just so beautiful to see the impact we have in each other's lives.
And what a neat opportunity to normalize as a
Yeah.
way very explicitly for children that they think, oh, that's just the way it should be. And
Right.
yet, in fact, it's like you've had to work really hard to be able to know
Oh,
that, like, this is my ideal. I'd love for that to
yeah.
be the way it is. Let's
Just the
try to
normal.
create that.
Yeah, you are doing it through the people you work with, through taking care of yourself, through modeling it, teaching your child. it becomes normalized, normal.
And
Oh,
hopefully, even we can teach this to our residents and our medical
yes.
students and model it through
Hmm.
academic programs as well as in the regular workplace.
Totally.
I think that's probably coaching's never gonna disappear in its need because it's so far stretching. But I think that maybe we could deal with more complex issues in a way
Mm,
if we got rid of the silly things that are just unnecessarily rough in our work
right.
environments.
Yeah.
Um, and that would be its own fun.
Totally. Oh, can you imagine that whole like taking your journey of being able to release all the pain with the job so that you could have the courage to have this career pivot, become a mom, like amplify that to the level of medicine. If we weren't all always doing all these like really hard jobs, we could free ourselves up to do so much more. Okay, let's do this. Let's imagine you're in your new job. You have some trainees in front of you, and you get to teach them some of your favorite lessons from Next Level Freedom or for coaching. What would you want them to know right now?
Oh, that's a great question. I think one thing is, in a way, this idea of let them, right? Like
Mhm.
whether it's a patient that's having some inner challenge with how they're interacting with
Yeah.
you, or you're having a challenge interacting with them, or it's a colleague or a coworker or at home, that other individual's going to do whatever they're going to do. And you have
Mm.
a choice about how you're going to be in relation to them, be independent from them, whatever it is. Um, and do it like with your head held high as yourself and so forth. I think that's one big piece.
Oh, it's so good.
Um, and then, well, and especially too because of medical students and residents, they're relatively disenfranchised, right? They're
Mm.
as trainees, I think um, that is a perception of that position. On the other hand, maybe it doesn't have to be that way. Maybe that's how an individual could sort of elevate themselves as a trainee through
Yeah.
coaching is like, okay, yeah, I'm learning and I have all of my experience from the past. And I go to coaching and I learn how to maximize how I want to respond. And by showing up as themselves with this
Yeah.
broad experience that they had from the past and practicing how they're going to present it towards a certain goal,
Mm,
then they're working towards that goal um, that they may not have even considered they would attempt before going through coaching.
yeah. Okay, amazing. Yes, I wish I had that as a resident. Can you imagine? So
Yes.
good. These are
Oh, me
such
too.
great skills. Yes, and this is
Yeah.
a ripple effect, right? You get to share it here, and a trainee's going to listen, and she's going to be like, "What do you mean? I have a choice here." It's going to be so life-changing. So now take me to a practicing physician who is in a toxic job and cannot communicate with their boss is just very not supportive, and they may be feeling like trapped in a profession that with nowhere to go. How could you like what have you learned inside Next Level Freedom that could help them take the next steps?
Yeah, I think one thing is just like what feels good to you right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that you are like I've always felt that in a way our own worst enemy. Like we're the only ones that place limits on ourselves in a way. And so how can we lift that in this
Yeah,
scenario?
yeah,
Um, like I do think that through coaching one could figure out how do you address the situation or how do you speak to your boss all the while maintaining your own integrity.
totally.
I think it gave me more courage. Um, so yes, like how does
Yeah.
it feel in your body? And then think through scenarios that um, what's a possible approach you could take and do some iterations of that and realize like, oh, here's the one that feels the best. Let
Hmm.
me try that. Is there any way I want to change it to make it feel even more
Right.
comfortable? Um, and maybe then you're able to be more true to yourself, even though it's in a situation when you'd,
Yeah.
at least for me, tend to like clam up and be
Hmm.
less myself.
That's so good. Because I think when we're in a toxic job, lots of high stakes conversations, it's, I think what you said is exactly right. We want to, like, what can I do for myself right now, today? So I feel a little more supported. And what's amazing when I ask you these questions, it's always something they could do. It's like if I had just met with someone new for the first time. She's like, I just want to take a 5-minute nap right before I go into the house. I just want to walk around the block. I just want to get a sparkling water. And those small things aren't trivial at all. It's like the sign of, no, the rest of my life is going to be different starting now. Even while I'm in this toxic job, I'm going to start showing myself, I'm going to take care of myself and then
Yeah.
iterating. It's just everything. Okay, you mentioned a couple of times about courage. Tell us,
Yes.
how did you get this courage inside of the program? So
Oh,
beautiful.
I just think probably more from like listening to oneself. You
Wow.
know,
Yeah.
I feel like this probably isn't exactly the wording that you use, but it's sort of like, well, what do you think? What feels good to
Mm,
you?
mm,
That it all
mm.
comes back to you as an individual. And
Right.
so, I don't know, using oneself as the resource and
Yeah.
as the litmus test and so forth.
Yeah.
Um, that I probably really hadn't focused on before. In fact, I'm sort of a serial like people pleaser. And that's how I was very much raised to be that way, right? It's
Mm,
much more convenient if your kid does everything you want them to do and not what you don't want them to do. And I was great at following those kind of directions. But in those environments that are toxic for us to work in, or elements of our job that really are not what we should be putting up with, not healthy, let's say that. In those cases, we should probably are not helping ourselves if we're in the people pleasing mode. We're
mm,
just kind of
mm.
adding to the harm, unfortunately, that's being propagated there.
And the question you asked is how someone gets out of people pleasing, which is this question. It's so natural for you now. It's like, what feels good to me right now? Right? It refocuses our look at what would make this person happy to what do I need right now? Which is so beautiful, kind of echoes back to what you were talking about earlier, is that we can't ever predict what the other person's going to do, but we can definitely predict what we're going to do, like what makes us happy. So do that. The other person's going to be the person. They might actually be happier when you're happy, but just to have that, using ourselves as a resource. Oh, I love that so much. And it's so simple because we can all do that. So, what is next for you?
Well, I have this new job, so I'm like looking to figure out how to excel in it
Yes.
and take on all the elements of that job. And get to know my colleagues and
Mm,
um, kind of work with these new individuals. And then there are opportunities within the greater context of the workplace where maybe I could try different avenues like teaching or what have you in different ways than I've done before. So
yeah.
kind of exploring what's possible and certainly I will need to use these coaching strategies because it's a whole new area
Yeah.
in that I've never pulled all these elements together. And also, just like any new job,
Yeah.
there's some fear of the unknown and a desire to figure out how to best succeed. And I think part of that, how that success looks probably is different this time in the sense that it's you want to have it work and you want it to work for you too.
Yeah.
Feel
Yes.
like the right place and the right rhythm and so forth.
So, what a great time to have courage, for one. Two, you have all the skills, and then we're going to be there to help you with it every week along the way, which is going to be the same process that got you this to this amazing place, which is what is it that I want right now? How does that feel? Let me take the next step. It's the same process, even though you're in a different place. It works brilliantly, I promise.
And I like that
Yeah.
it's like a 1-1-1,
Yeah.
that it's not like you don't have to plan the next 3 years. You're planning
Mm,
like the next step.
right.
In fact, that was from a very early workshop that
Yeah.
you did. You said we were kind of working as a group in the workshop, and you said, "Oh, you want to achieve this goal of, I think it was something like update your resume." And you said, "So what's the next step that you need to take to do that?"
Yeah.
And the person was like, "Oh, I need to review templates and see what
Uh,
different kinds of layouts there are
yeah.
for resumes." And you said, "Okay, you can do that." But for me, I have to pick up my pencil.
Oh, that's right. We're
And
like,
and that
right.
and then you were saying like, and once you pick up the pencil, you might decide to write with it or not. You may like go do something else,
Yeah.
but like you knew that you could pick up your pencil.
Right.
And so often I use that as a
Yeah.
kind of a thought in my mind. What is the next little thing I can
Tiniest
do?
step. Yeah.
One thing. Yes, next
Yeah.
tiniest step.
Because our brain will, my brain will do this too. It's like, I remember some of my brain going, and you should go to France for a year and do an internship. Like it went to all these places. I'm like, or I could just open a Word document, right? And that those tiny steps is where you will find yourself in a totally different place and with a baby and a job that you love and new possibilities. It's just from that one tiny step. It's so powerful. I'm so glad you shared that. So if you look back, if you were to talk to younger you who might have had reservations about joining this coaching program, what would you want to tell her? Or for the people who are listening who might have reservations, what would you?
Well, I just felt like it was totally worth it. I think the lifetime and the vault and all of these aspects, even if for some reason you couldn't meet with people, you can look at the um,
Mm,
recording. If you have a special area that you want to investigate, you can look at that in the vault. So I've reviewed a lot of those vault resources over you, even you could do it in a short period of time or over a long period of time. Um, I don't know. I just think like there's a lot of value um, for your choice to
yeah,
join.
amazing. Some people will be worried they won't get the support they need in a group versus like private coaching. What would you say to that?
Well, as you alluded to earlier, I do think that when there are so many shared experiences, not only are they work related, we've talked a lot about work and
Yeah.
to this hour, but they also could be related to family life, personal life,
Mm,
etc. And people will bring those and share that, and you may realize, oh, here's a strategy that
yeah.
you were trying to use and now you're seeing it modeled with the other person. Oh, that's how I could use that more effectively, or like how it's supposed to go, so to speak. Um, or maybe they're having an issue that although you had brought some work thing, they're talking about family, and you're like, okay, yeah, I gotta
Mm.
remember that for the next time my dad asks me for the 10th time about the same
Right.
issue.
Oh
Yes, I
my
have a choice about how I respond
God.
to that.
Oh my gosh, so good. I do. I
Yeah.
find those conversations so rich just because there's things I would never have considered. We can get so much out of it.
And I do think
Yeah.
the fact that like what is stated in the room stays in the room, so to
Mhm.
speak,
Mhm.
that's really important, and that does create a sense of security in presenting whatever you want to talk about.
Mhm. I'm so glad you mentioned that because that is women physicians, we are private and we have a lot, r- rightly so. And so it's good to, I think that's something that people ask about is the confidentiality piece. It's like how comfortable, how safe can I be in a group setting? What would you, anything you want to more add to that?
Um, No, I think like that there is this agreement ahead of time that it won't
Hmm.
be blasted like, oh, hey, here's what I learned about so and so.
Yes, yes, exactly. We have had because of the how it's set up with the agreement, but also just the that I think people have a bond and affinity towards each other. It stays. We've never had any problems with confidentiality because I just think we attract the best people in the entire world, and the work is sacred, and they love each other, and we all want the best for them. So, whereas we're wrapping up, who would you recommend Next Level Freedom to? Who do you think is like the perfect person for
Oh, kind of anybody who's alive and in medicine,
it? So good.
and identifies as a woman. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
it's like, because a lot of this is so universal, a lot
Mm,
of what we discuss. So I probably the individual who has been wondering, oh, should I try coaching? And
mhm.
the answer I would always say a million times over, yes,
A
do it.
million times over. A million times over. I love it. Anything else you want to share that we didn't get to that you just want to make sure it's said?
Well, first of all, thank you. Because
My pleasure.
it's sometimes I come to coaching and I think, oh, this is sort of mundane or small or what have you. And the way that you can kind of like rephrase things, look at it from a higher level, have a different
Mm,
perspective, focus in on some piece that turns out to be a key to the whole
mm,
problem, so to speak, that I hadn't perceived before.
yeah.
But it came out in whatever I was saying.
Yeah.
Um, or to step back. Those all of those things,
Yeah.
as someone outside and with the skill set for being a coach, that is really invaluable.
Mm. Well, I have to let you know, from my point of view, I have never thought anything you've brought is mundane or small. My
Thank you.
thought is always like, oh my gosh, this is so important. This is so precious. Never, ever do I think that things are small. And also, for those of you, if you ever think it's small, I also want you to keep in mind huge changes happen because of small, like small wins. Like when we support ourselves at the very small, the tiniest level, like that is so important to who we're becoming. Thank you so much for doing this celebration with me.
Thank you. Thanks for
I
having
have
me.
love. I'm so glad that we connected, and I can't wait for all the years of lifetime coaching to go.
Thank you. Yes, me too. I'm sure I'll have plenty to bring along the way,
I'm
even
here for
before
all of
she
it.
turns 16.
I'm here for all of it. All right. Thank you, Camilla.
Thank you.
And now, listeners, I want to say something just for you. If you want the exact tools, frameworks, and scripts, make sure you're at a brand new live 3-part masterclass series. You'll get everything you need to know to get to part time hours, full doctor pay in under 90 days. And here's something else that's really exciting. At the live masterclass series, doors are going to open to Next Level Freedom. It's my lifetime physician coach training program where we are done sacrificing our families for our careers. We only open once a year. Next time to join is summer 2027. Do not miss this chance to get your 100K raise and your part time hours. Never miss your kids' soccer game again. Go to show notes now. I'll see you there.